Hey everyone, today we're going to be continuing our practice of comparing and contrasting characters in the same book or different ones. Today it's going to be from the same book, and so we're going to look at this amazing book called Number the Stars, and later on in the year we may be doing Literature Circle books or a study on this. A lot of years I do this, but this is a story about some families during the time of the Holocaust and World War II, and just trying to stay safe during that very scary and dangerous time. And so there are two characters today, Anne-Marie and Kirsty, that we are going to look at. So you'll have a copy of this slideshow on your It's Learning page for the ELA page. This is a video you could watch of someone reading the first chapter, but you can click right here. But there's also a link to the actual text where you could just read it yourself, which might go a little bit more quickly if you do that. Either way, I'll show you that in a bit. But pulling some ideas, I'm not going to actually read this part. Pulling some ideas from the text, I'm going to model a little bit how you're going to be thinking about these characters. And so we're going to look how the author introduces the relationship between these two girls, Kirsty and Anne-Marie. So if we look at what the author wrote, "Wait for me," wailed little Kirsty, left behind. But the two older girls weren't listening. Okay, so we take a look at this phrase, but the two older girls weren't listening. One, this shows that Kirsty, it says little Kirsty, so we know she's young. Maybe she's a little sister. There's two older girls. She's calling out, "Wait for me." Okay, so this shows that Kirsty's anxious to be part of her sister's life. We'll learn that Anne-Marie and Kirsty are sisters, and she wants friendship with Ellen and Anne-Marie, but they are ignoring her. So it's kind of the classic older brother or sister sibling where the younger ones want to be part of things, but maybe they're not welcoming to her, and a lot of times she feels like she's tagging along. So she really wants to be part of this, and so the author shows that through the text. So that's something you could write down on your organizer today. Later on it says, behind her, Ellen also slowed and stopped. Far back, little Kirsty was plodding along, her face in a pout, because the girls hadn't waited for her. She glanced back. Ellen was motionless on the sidewalk, a few yards behind her. Further back, Kirsty was still sulking and walking slowly toward the corner. Nearby, a woman had come to the doorway of a shop and was standing silently watching. So this is just pulling little portions of the text, but how does this help you understand Kirsty's character and what she's like? Well, if I take a look here, I say little Kirsty was plodding along, okay? Really just walking really slowly, kind of head down, her face in a pout, because she really didn't get her way. And so this shows a little bit about Kirsty's character. And when you write this down on your organizer, think, what is someone like when they start to almost pout when they don't get their way? How could you describe them? It says that Kirsty was sulking, walking slowly. So, maybe you've done this before, or you have siblings who have done this, where something goes wrong and instantly they just get down and they're upset and sulking and sad and miserable. So how can you describe what kind of character this author is showing? You'll put that in your organizer today. Later on in the text of chapter 1, it says, "And who is this?" he asked. We don't know who this is. This is just a little portion, but I'm going to model this for you. "Who is this?" he asked, looking to Anne-Marie's side. Kirsty had appeared there suddenly, scowling at everyone. Well, this character here is actually one of the soldiers that had come and was monitoring along the streets. And there are many Jewish kids. In this case, these are Jewish girls that had to be careful because the German soldiers could essentially take them away, like we learned in the Holocaust, to a concentration camp. And so she said, "Well, this is my little sister." She reached down, this is Anne-Marie, She reached down for Kirsty's hand, but Kirsty, always stubborn, refused it and put her hands on her hips defiantly. The soldier reached down and stroked her little sister's short hair, angled curls. "Stand still, Kirsty," Anne-Marie ordered silently, praying that somehow the obstinate 5-year-old would receive the message. And so once again, I just want to model some of these clue words, these things. You're going to be doing this with chapter 1 today. The soldier kind of yells down at the girls, and so instantly Kirsty jumps in, "Oh, this is my little sister," and grabs her hand. Shows, she really is pretty protective of her sister, shows that she cares for her. But Kirsty here, once again, you see that word stubborn. She refused. She put her hands on her hips. Like, this is definitely like the definition of being stubborn and very independent and really not going along with something that she needed to do to stay safe. And so this shows the character of what Kirsty's like. And then later on, it shows that Anne-Marie's like praying, "Please stand still, don't get us in trouble, do the right thing." She must know that sometimes Kirsty doesn't do that and maybe gets herself into some trouble. And then it says an obstinate 5-year-old. I'll let you look that up today and figure out what that word is, but that is a good clue word. Here we're looking at what the actions here in the dialogue tell us. But Kirsty reached up, pushed the soldier's hand away. "Don't," she said loudly. So even with the soldier, this little girl, Kirsty, like pushes her hand away and really is kind of bold, maybe courageous, maybe doesn't understand what's going on. But later on you'll see, I'm not going to read all of this, it shows that the soldier is basically very like gruffly or very loudly say, "Go home, all of you. Go study your school books and don't run. You look like hoodlums when you run." And so the soldiers basically forced them to go away. So once again, you're going to look at this text, but that example here of how Kirsty pushed the soldier's hand away really shows how stubborn, how bold she is, how much kind of attitude and spunk she has. So that'll tell us a little bit more. There's maybe some more things you could pull from this part of the text. Later on, it says, "Are you going to tell your mother?" Ellen asked Anne-Marie as they trudged together up the stairs. "I'm not. My mother would be upset." So here it shows Ellen was along with the girls, but Anne-Marie is basically saying, "Listen, we can't tell Mother about this situation. Like, she'd be upset." And we'll learn that really Anne-Marie here is worried about, 1, getting in trouble, but 2, her mother worrying. And so what does that tell you about Anne-Marie and what she's like? Because in the end, it also, we'll read here, later on in the text, it talks about how Anne-Marie did not want to tell the truth about this. So does that mean she's not truthful? Does she have a good reason? But what she finds out is as soon as she gets into the room, Kirsty's already telling the story. "And he poked Anne-Marie's book bag with his gun, and then he grabbed my hair." Kirsty was chattering. So right away, 1, maybe it shows she's honest here, compared to Anne-Marie wanting to hold the truth, but also it shows a little bit about how Kirsty, her attitude, where she's very loud and she is, very talkative. She maybe is outgoing more so, where Anne-Marie could be reserved. And so that's how you're going to break down these texts. Okay, and so I just wanted to pick out some of these and show an example, but I'm not going to do all of this for you today. I just wanted to pick and choose. But once again, here you see Anne-Marie was hoping to take her mother's mind away from the soldiers. So once again, Anne-Marie really is trying to be thinking of other people here, not just lying so she can't get in trouble, but she was really worried about her mother and how she would feel and the worry she had. Okay, so what you're going to do is think, how are the girls the same? And for this, you are going to complete this organizer just like we did yesterday of Anne-Marie versus Kirsty. And then you're going to read in class. You're going to do some research again for your writing time, which you can count towards some of your reading minutes, your step, but you should have a book to read also for 30 minutes tonight for homework. Okay? What I'm going to do quickly is just show you with your assignment. If you go to the ELA page here and go down, here is the slides that I'm currently just showing you. If you have to go back and double check, if you want to get the version where the first chapter is read to you on that first slide, or when you click on this assignment, Anne-Marie and Kirsty here, you will see that it asks you to read chapter 1, and then it asks you to fill out an organizer just like you did yesterday for one of your own books. And so here you can click on chapter 1 and read this. Doesn't take too long. The pages are short. You can make it larger if you'd like, but you're reading chapter 1, the text that I just talked about. That was not the whole thing. I just was picking and choosing, but you'll read the text, and then you will go here and click on here and fill out the organizer, what you pull from the text here about these two girls from chapter 1 and how they are different and how they're the same. Okay? And so and then once again, you might be able to have the link here take you to that chapter also. But this is the organizer you're going to fill out today. So take some details from the text. Hopefully you can get, at least 2 to 3 things. I would say probably 3 things for each of these. If you really want to, write this down on paper and take a picture of it when you submit it, that is fine. But I would say just type down bullet points. Doesn't have to be too much, but you are doing, it might give a little bit of physical characteristics like we talked about yesterday, but more so characteristics of what their character and who they are as a person, what traits they have. Okay? So can't wait to see what you do. Let me know if you have any questions, but when you finish this up as an assignment, go ahead and submit it with me.